Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. Today, we're going to do something very special. You know, these days, everything be a pizza, everything be a pizza. So, I'm going to teach you some tricks about getting a perfect homemade pizza. You know that thing for all that occasion, whether it's a birthday, whether it's a surprise a loved one, whether it's for the kids at home, whether it's for snacking. This is the perfect pizza recipe you'd want to do. And yes, the pizza, we did it in two different ways. We did it with an oven and then without an oven. So just in case you don't have an oven, doesn't mean you can't eat pizza at home. You could still do some pizza and enjoy your pizza. So yeah, let's bounce into action. So for this simple pizza recipe, we used 1 pound of flour, then we used a tablespoon of margarine, a pinch of salt, which is very small part of the teaspoon, and then I used 1 tablespoon of sugar. You could use one or two at most for that quantity we are doing, and of course a tablespoon of yeast, which is going to do much of the work. Now sometimes people add egg and other things to it, but then you can decide to omit those ones. They won't really change it that much, but you can decide to add them. Some add a bit of milk, a bit of egg, but then this recipe has always worked for me. And of course, we have cheese. The cheese in this video, I used a Gouda cheese, and there's parts where it was used by mozzarella. So there are different types of cheese in the market. You have mozzarella, you have Cheddar, you have Gouda. There's quite a number of them, and they all give you different textures. And then you know that thing. And I got some veggies for the vegetable, just to give it that vegetables, some sort of stuff. And you can use various vegetables to your preference. And there are other topping ideas you can borrow from here. Yes, I've tried the banana one, but the banana gets too soft. But then, when it comes to the ripe plantain, it's very nice. Those who like body pano, those who like plantain a lot, you can just do a very simple plantain and granuts sort of pizza. And yes, just stick to this one. If you want meat, you just make sure that your meat is cooked. Your meat is well done before it goes on in here. It should be cooked before it comes. So you should steam it up, cut it into smaller chunks before you use. If it's chicken, make sure that you steam it up, flick it up before it goes onto your pizza. Don't go and put raw meat or raw chicken on your pizza, because pizza doesn't take a lot of time to cook. And I had some sausages, like I was talking about, some plantain, which was fried, and tomato sauce. But tomato sauce, if you don't have tomato sauce, you could use gravy, it works perfectly. Or you could use your tin tomato. If you're using tin tomato, please try and get some stock and then add to it. So this is chicken stock, and then you can just mix it with the tin tomato. So it helps defeat that tin tomatoes taste. Tin tomatoes sometimes can be very smooth. Why am I saying tin tomato? So I mean tomato paste. Yes, in Ghana we call them tin tomato a lot, and sometimes it's just infectious. So some tomato paste, yes, don't mind me. So you can just mix your tomato paste with that one. So what I want to begin by doing is to make sure that you prep all your ingredients. Before you start your baking, make sure that, sweetheart, everything is well cut and you know that thing. So I chopped the carrots, the onion, the pepper, the bell pepper, and yes, I got all of them ready before I went into action, including the sausages and all of them. So to kick off, I just put everything in the dried ingredients. Then I mixed it up before I added in the margarine. Then what I did was to just add my water in bits to it to just bind it together. Now, another trick too is the water. If too much water goes in there, it's going to cause another trouble. So you need to be checking your water. You need to be mixing it in bits. So for this recipe like this, I think I ended up using 2 half cups. So that's a cup of water and a little bit more. So it's less than 2 cups. That's like less than 1.5 cup. And by cup, I'm not looking at the local cup, because over here, when you buy rice, it is measured in cup. But that cup, please, that cup is bigger than the standard baking cup. Yes, so sometimes when you go and buy your measuring cups, they are in small, that standard cup. Yes. So once you're able to get your dough, the next thing you need to do is to knead it up a bit. You're kneading it so that the yeast will be well activated and well distributed, so that you can activate the gluten just a little bit. You know that thing. But you don't knead this as much as you knead bread. Yes. So you just need to knead this for about 5 to maybe 10 minutes if you're doing a large batch. But 5 minutes would always do the trick for you. And if you don't know how to knead properly or you're new to kneading, I have how to knead in my dried donut recipe, which is on the channel. And you need to let it rest for like some 30 minutes, then you continue. Another way you could also go about it is to just mix up your yeast with the warm water, and then you can add in the sugar in there as well. Then in your separate bowl, you could just wait for the yeast to dissolve. That takes about 2, 3, 5 minutes. So once that is well dissolved, what you can then proceed to do in your separate bowl, which you would have your dried ingredient. So you have your flour in, then you can add in your salt to just break that flour taste. Then you add in your oil, you add in the yeast water you just did to it. Then you use it to mix it up. Now, when you mix it up, when you're done, you're still going to get the dough, and then you knead it up and then divide it and then let it rest. So once it rests for a while, the yeast is going to be activated. Now, what I forgot to mention earlier on was that you could use hard flour, you could use soft flour. The only thing is, hard flour tends to have more proteins. So when you knead it, something, I mean, kind of sad. So when you knead, you realize that it becomes more stretchy early. But soft flour, you need to work it a bit more. So yes, when it's done resting, you knead it just a little bit to take out the air and put it together. So what I like to do is when I'm done, I cut it into like three. Depends. If I want to do smaller pizza, I can cut the into smaller chunks. So the two were for smaller pizzas, and then the very big two were for the regular sized pizzas. So yes, basically you can get like 2 to 3 or 4 sizes or something. Depends on the size you want to do. But the regular pizza, if you're using a pound of flour, you can get like 3. That thing averagely. So you need to roll this out perfectly. Roll this out. And you need to be careful how you roll it, or else you end up not getting a circle. And it's okay if you put in your pan and you realize it's too small or it's shrinking too much, still roll it out. So just roll it to get it as thin as possible, because when you put it into your pan, it's going to go shrinking back. Then I'm just using my hand to just get you that perfect circle thing. Don't be deceived. It's very hard to get a circle something. So sometimes you use your hand to just adjust it up a bit. Then I place on my tomato sauce onto it. Then I added in the filling, so the proteins, the vegetables, and then the cheese. And one thing I want to chip in here is that when it comes to your homemade pizza, don't be too worried if you're not getting the shape right. Most important thing is the thickness and the texture. Don't make it too heavy. Now we're going to teach you later other techniques of stretching out your pizza, because sometimes you can just use your thumb to just stretch it out or your fist to just stretch it out. Yes, but then you need to perfect this first. So once the topping is done, then you can use your cheese. Now in this particular video, this particular one you're seeing, I used Gouda cheese. And one thing about the Gouda cheese is it's very, 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 should I say, tough. It really takes a long time to melt. That's about the Gouda cheese. And it's not as stretchy as the mozzarella cheese, that thing. So that's one thing I learned working with the Gouda cheese. And one thing you need to, I think when I read on it later, what I got to know was that like Gouda is perfect when it comes to meat-based stuff, or like pork meat, those kind of stuff, because meat takes a longer time to cook than vegetables. So if you're doing vegetables, the mozzarella is perfect. But if you're doing meat and those ones, sometimes you could use that one instead. And like I was saying, if you're using mozzarella, you have the block one you can grate. You have the ones which are already pre-made for sandwiches and all those ones. So you can just use those ones just to save yourself some time. And the topping ideas, like I was saying, if it's plantain you want to do, you can just equally do like I did. So instead of using the veg, you use that one. Then your cheese goes onto it. If you want to do vegetable pizzas too, you could just do the same thing. So it's very simple and very easy to do pizza. Yes. So sometimes you need to give yourself a treat as well as home. And I always say food made at home is always made with so much love and always binds us together. That's one essence of us eating healthy and eating at home. So never, 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 never put your pizza down for a while before you bake it. If you're not ready to start baking, don't even stretch it out. Don't roll it out and then put your toppings and things on it. Or else, by the time you're ready, it's going to start rising. You don't want a pizza to turn bread. So once you're done, you just put it in your oven. And I always say preheat your oven before it goes in there. Your pizza depends. Averagely 15 to 20 minutes is perfect. If you don't have an oven at home, this is one thing you want to do. You can heat up your pan just a little bit, and then your own frying pan, you can just put your dough in there. You let one side cook up, turn a bit brown, then you flip it. But do this under low heat so that the heat goes into the crust well. Else, if your pan is very hot, and then the dough goes in, it may look brown early, but then the inside will not be properly cooked. So that's one thing you want to avoid. So do it over very low heat and then cover your frying pan up. Let the heat go into it. Then you flip it at the other side. You put your tomato sauce there, or your gravy, or your stock, what you want to layer your pizza with. Then you top it up with your toppings, whether it's vegetables, whether it's plantain, whether it's meat, whatever it is, you put it there. Then you top up with your cheese and then you cover it and you just let it continue to stay on fire. You know that thing. And this can take you shorter time. So if you're time pressed, sweetheart, just go with this method. It always comes out for time pressed because you spend less time with it. Yes. And then once your pizza comes out, it's just wrapped with action. Action. So yeah, this is how to go about your homemade pizza. No only believe you know laba laba. There's all that there is to it. So do give this recipe a try. Do live life to the fullest. Be healthy, be joyous, and let me see you in the next food movement. Lots of love for my team and I. Mwah.